into the journey of ignorance to wisdom, ignorance to wisdom. And our topic is definitely the Viveka, the discernment. It is the third of the five groups of practices Master in this text is suggesting. So when you are a primary level of a seeker, a primary level, even kindergarten, oh, do these poses and do these asanas and okay, do headstand. So, so your head will spin and you will be relaxed. So, but here we are so serious in our study, serious in understanding. So don't forget this world is suffering and how this world is suffering caused by our foolishness of the mind. You see the uh, remember something, the body with the sense organ, mind with emotion and feeling, intellect with the thoughts. That is how we live our life. So now all these three, combined together based on our vasanas, based on our past impression. What does it mean? Just, vasana is a very big topic. I just make you in a very simple way to understand. You are talking to someone. What you talk is the outermost action, but the feeling is different inside. Right. Just take an example, you don't agree with someone, what he or she is saying. And, oh, do you agree to, yes, yes, okay. You don't want to enter into a conflict, so you say yes. But internally, you don't agree. So those are the past impression that shapes our personality and attitude. So why I was talking about it, when you say the world is suffering, those past impression haunts me. It causes the foolishness, it causes the scattered mind, it causes the attachment, it causes the selfishness, it causes the paralysis, intellectual paralysis, and then we have a vicious circle and we continue to live in the world with a lot of stress and the suffering. So, what is the remedy? Remedy is the satsang, and the most important, one of the most important step of this satsang is the viveka. It begins with the viveka. Viveka is the discernment. So, you see, in a simple inquiry, in a scientific research, you are not exploring what is inside you and what you are speaking outside. But in a self inquiry, I need to understand that. If I don't understand what is going on inside me and what I'm speaking, how I'm living, there is already a disintegration. And that is why we need this, we need this. Viveka is very important. So what happens? The third group we have talked. So once I do the practice, once I have followed the Viveka, it must change my life, my behavior and attitude, not only in presence of a teacher, but in everyday life. If that is not happening, then you are not practicing Viveka. Are you getting it? Did you get it? My behavior and attitude undergoes a change. I'm just, I'm say for example, I'm very selfish. So now that selfishness has gone. limited in my perception. It is gone. I'm hoarding the money in all my pockets to save it, to be clumsy, to be very, very, you see, very limited, very, very, what word I should use? Now, because you don't have that attachment with the objects, so Viveka uses that wealth rightly. Lot of changes that takes place. Lot of changes. So as we understand, the pranayama is the first practice we have done. I have just touched upon the surface of the pranayama. I will talk in detail as the as our session proceeds. The pratyahara is very important. You see the pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses, pranayama, the purification of the mind, and then comes the viveka, the power of discernment, the power of discernment. When we are not prepared, when we are not a seeker, a genuine seeker internally, viveka will not work. You may understand intellectually. You see, body perceives. Body means the sense organ perceives one set of observation. Second set of observation, a feeling. I feel too much about you. We so normally say, I don't have any feeling. Mind. Second set. Third is the thoughts. So Viveka has to be applied in all the three layers. We normally don't apply at the level of the mind. No, I have a feeling. I told you that guy who told me that I gave this girl 200% and she cheated me. So I said, did you not understand? He said, no, I understand everything. I understand you said power of discernment, but you didn't apply it. This is going to happen in the beginning of changing your lifestyle. If you are not aware, sometime the mind with the feeling will pick you up, take you for a ride. And that is why I always say, ask yourself, are you changing? Are you changing? Changing means my behavior and attitude outside, because my past impressions deeper inside personality is changing. That is reflecting outside. And that happens by the power of Viveka. That happens. That has to happen. If that is not happening, now I have one set of emotion and the thoughts for one person, and I have another set of thoughts and emotions for the second person. I lack Viveka. I'm lacking Viveka. Think of it. Think of it. So last time I gave you some idea. There are 15 topics that we cover in Viveka, that we will cover a couple of the topics, what is right and what is wrong. So we have a clear understanding of definition of the right. Right means also the auspicious. What is auspicious and what is inauspicious? What is good and right and good? And what I like and what is pleasant. So I discern between the two. So what I like and what gives me the pleasure, whether it is harmful, detrimental to my success in my relationship, I understand it clearly, I discern it, and I move to what is right and good. So there is my ego drops down, my ego dissolves completely. You're just carefree. When? In all the situations, in all your relationship. There is a big issue of problem of what we say the goals and the means. How can I be happy? I don't have any money. Money is a means. Goal is happiness. I will marry to be happy. Marriage is a means. Goal is the happiness. Happiness is within me. So when you are clearly understanding, that understanding lives in you. You live into that awareness of goals and the means. What happens? You're always happy. You don't depend on the means to be happy. So we have to understand that we have to discern between the goals and the means. And then we have to also understand, we have to discern, we have to do the viveka between the whole and the part. What exactly is the whole? Whole cannot be divided. So explore what cannot be divided. What cannot be divided is the real self. What else, whatever, what else can be divided is the part, body, trillions of cells, breath, mind, intellect, ego, emotions. I'm none of them. So when we do the viveka, I understand that I'm not the part, I'm the whole. Because that I remains as one since my birth until today. When you say, no, I'm divided, it is mind is divided, your thought is divided, you are not divided. And then we have to discern between the sorrow and the happiness also. Sorrow and the happiness. So the greater the level of discernment, you start moving from ignorance to wisdom, the mind and the intellect, both. That is why I refer to you body, sense organ perception, mind, feeling, and emotion, and intellect, the thoughts. Well, these are the three instruments we are given by the existence. So, but take the mind and the intellect. The mind and intellect undergoes a tremendous change by the practice of viveka. And if there is some problems, obstacles, that is tackled by the pranayama and pratyahara. And the other two sets of practices, the japa and the meditation. Now see, our mind and intellect are deeply influenced by ignorance and wisdom, ignorance and knowledge. It is also influenced by the knowledge. It is also influenced by the ignorance. And the state, now you see, the state of our mind and the intellect determines the quality of my thought, the state of my mind. Mind is living in ignorance, quality of thought changes. Are you getting it? We are going a little deeper. So the state of the intellect determines the quality of my thought, emotions, and actions. Whatever the thoughts and emotions are there, I'm going to act in that way. The quality of my thought determines the quality of my personal, professional, social, and family life. You see how I'm helping you to build these thought process. Viveka is also very important to create a thought process. What I said in the first statement, that mind and intellect are deeply influenced by ignorance and wisdom. I'm living in ignorance, I'm living in wisdom. Now, how the mind and intellect are greatly influenced, that ignorance and the wisdom contains the thought process. So it means the state of my mind and intellect determines the quality of my thought. Did you understand? And that quality of my thought determines the quality of my life. Oh, you are crazy, my mind instantly, just out of the blue. Oh, you are great. So now I have already created a problem in my relationship. Did you understand that? So once you understand the quality of my thought and feeling determines the quality of my life and my personal life, my professional life, my social life, my family life. But now the thought that I'm speaking has a deeper impression inside, very deeper impression. And that is a repository of karma, the past impressions. It is not easy to say, then done. So we have to purify this mind of the past impressions. Then only we are able to change our mind and intellect. And once the mind and intellect is changing, my perception changes. My perception changes. My behavior changes. My behavior changes. My action changes. And my entire lifestyle changes. That is the rule of power of discernment. Quality of the thoughts depends on how much mind accept, digest, assimilate. Can you fill in the blanks? Quality of my thoughts depends on how much mind and the intellect accept, digest, assimilate what is right and wrong, what is whole and part, what is sorrow and happiness. I have a value deeper inside as a part of the impression that wealth brings the happiness. I lost some money. Now look at the state of your mind. Very deeper. So we have to explore that. Let us explore how ignorance and wisdom affect the mind and intellect. When you are living in ignorance, you have a certain thought process that clouds your perception when you are living in ignorance. It is not that outside event or person clouds your perception. You cloud your perception because of ignorance. You are living in ignorance, and your thought process will be reactive and impulsive. You will have an attachment and aversion. Now, I'm talking about when our mind and intellect lives in ignorance, perception is clouded, I'm reactive and impulsive, I have an attachment and aversion. One person did not find the reality with me. One person, I would different, let me rephrase it. That person was totally reactive to the third person. I said, why you are reacting? Don't react. I was very tough on him. Now what happened? He stopped talking to me. So in ignorance, I do not want to think and contemplate. And that causes a lot of problem. What we are understanding? Viveka. How we are understanding Viveka? We are exploring how ignorance and wisdom affects the mind and intellect. So I gave you 3-pointer. It clouds my perception. I become reactive and impulsive. I have a lot of attachment and aversion. I have a limited growth and understanding. I do not understand. I may be highly intelligent, recognized as a genius in the society. That does not make any difference because you are so reactive and impulsive. Do you see that? See that? That is where our masters. Now you are living in a wisdom. Go opposite. There is a clarity and you have an insight. There is a clarity and insight. The joy and the peace constantly lives with you. There is a sense of dispassion. There is a sense of dispassion. So we are living in ignorance how your thought process through the mind and intellect works. When you are living in wisdom, how the thought process in your mind, including the feeling and your feeling and your thought process works. Now you see the importance of the viveka, the power of discernment. Clouded perception, attachment, reactive, impulsive. So when I'm living in ignorance, that world causes the suffering to me. That is what I believe. That is what my values are. That is how I behave. That is how I react, and that is how I act. Now, in the same situation, when I'm living in the wisdom, because of the discernment, my entire thought process undergoes a change. I have done the discernment daily. I lived into that discernment. So I have a clarity and insight. And there the master says, I talked about our mind lives in the state of equanimity and responsiveness. Why? Because attachment and aversion is not there. There is a sense of non attachment and acceptance is there. And there is a chance for continuous growth and evolution. You can use the same intellect after discernment in earning the wealth. Yes, you can use it. But there will definitely be a sense of attachment and it will cause the aversion. So that is why the monks and the masters are not too much interested in getting. See, that is what we need to understand. My thought process, my feeling, what I express outside is visible. What I do not express, where from it triggers, is invisible. And that invisible part is attacked, dissolved by Vivek. Because you are discerning between real and unreal part and the whole, pain and the pleasure, sorrow and the happiness. You're just discernment. Where comes? Hey, oh, you hurt me, but how you can hurt me? And ultimately, the mind drops into the state of equanimity. You are happy all the time. But until the mind is totally purified from inside, it will not happen. So one need to think that what happens when the false is known in the process of discernment. I know the false. I did something wrong to you, and I discern it. When I discern it, I feel a sense of that I was living in ignorance, and that is what I did it. There is no guilt because that is what the power of discernment is. You don't have, but you see that, and now you check that. Can I change that state? If I did something wrong to you, can I correct it? You simply correct it without any consideration of ego, attachment, or aversion. There is no chance you go and say sorry to it. Why? Because you want to help yourself. You want to dissolve that ignorance in you. That is very important part of the Viveka. It's a very deep. I told you there is a clarity of perception in life. Clarity. What is life? Series of experiences. What is these experiences? Perception by the sense organ, perception of the feeling by the mind, and perception of the thought. So there is always a clarity of perception. When you have a clarity of perception, there is no question of anxiety, duality, and a conflict in your life. Or you can say in a modern scientific language that your emotional reaction reduces. Your stress and anxiety and duality and a conflict starts minimizing. No more scientific way. But here we are talking of the Viveka. So you have a sense of increased detachment. Understand, detachment has nothing to do with indifference. This detachment brings the joy inside you because the illusion is gone. That is what the Viveka is. Viveka is a very important tool, powerful tool. Now, these are the practices I have joined you for the journey of the self discovery. So, how the Viveka helps in the journey of the self discovery? It has an expansion of your awareness because those attachment and aversion has gone, because your reactive and impulsive deeper inside has gone. So, there is an expansion of awareness. Because the false is released, because the ignorance is gone, so your awareness expands beyond the limitations of the ego, which is ignorance. That is the power of Viveka. I'm just giving a different perspective, and then we will also pick up some of these five different. You are living into the same house, you are living with the same relations, you are living with the same situation. I told you in the very beginning, mind and intellect, quality of the thoughts, lives in ignorance, now lives in wisdom. Because of the Viveka, you live in wisdom. Your feeling, your emotions, your thought process, your perception undergoes a change. Don't we want a change in our life? We want a change in our lifestyle and change in our behavior, change in our attitude that we are not able to change. Viveka is one of the great tools. You reacted to someone, you return home, and that guy's image is in front of you, mental feeling. You apply the Viveka, it is gone. I can give you millions of examples like this. Because if your mind and intellect is settled in Viveka, discernment, it simply goes away, it drops. Because your mind switches to the Viveka, you understand the problem, you dissolve it, and it is gone. It brings a totally shift. It brings a total shift. And then we realize, oh, this is what our masters are talking about, ignorance. Oh, this is the movement of ignorance to wisdom. Think of it. But that is what these changes should come in the beginning of practicing and applying Viveka. Again, you should ask the question, you should stick to the same question, what it has to do with my journey of the self discovery. Because of that, changes in the lifestyle, because of the changes of the mind, intellect, perception. Perception, I said, object perception, feeling, mind, and thought process. Now, all the three together helps you to recognize what is temporary and what is permanent, and that helps you to approach to the real self. You can clearly, you can clearly distinguish between the pleasure and the happiness. You can see the sense of attachment. Here is the pleasure with an object as long as I'm in contact with it. And now I'm not in contact and the happiness is still there. From where it comes, we are approaching to the real self. Then only we can reach to the understanding of what is real and unreal. That is the last discernment. So, in one way, this journey of the Viveka, the third group, of third practice, helps us. It cultivates an attitude of self inquiry. And you live into that state. You live into that state, that means you live into a higher level of perception because now you have, because of the discernment, you also have a dispassion. So when you practice Viveka, the time comes you reach to a state you cannot rest without the self discovery. There is that Viveka is settled in. Like Tesla says that there is a Neuralink, they are installing a chip in the brain. Viveka is that chip, that software. So what is going to happen? You lie down on the back, you are feeling sleepy. But first the Viveka comes, and Viveka says the sleeper is not you, the way the waker is not you. It will remind you, it will have an inner voice. People call it as a mysticism. No, there is nothing mysticism into it. You are on a dining table, you are eating some food, and that gives you the pleasure because the mind does not leave the old habits so easily. Viveka comes, and you have a bigger smile. Okay, this is pleasure. Happiness is inside me. So I will emphasize again, the Tesla, this Elon Musk, creates a Neuralink, there's a chip. I heard that. Viveka is that chip. It is or you can say it is a software. You have uninstalled the ignorance and you have reinstalled the wisdom. And that software is Viveka. And you see, it is an entirely a mental and intellectual exercise deeper within. First level. And then you bring out the quality of the thoughts. And from that quality of the thoughts, the actions are done. That changes your behavior and attitude, and then ultimately the entire lifestyle changes. You start feeling the lifestyle changes. What I have to do fighting with someone, what I have to do with attachment to this one. You are so carefree that you need not to attach to even your thought, even the Eastern wisdom. Some people say that, I hate this Eastern wisdom. I also say, I also hate it. You're right. You live in, you live in yourself. You don't allow anything of the world to cause you any form of anxiety, reaction, duality. But there is another side of it. But what will happen if the guy is constantly hunting me, chasing me, pushing me to live in? So then we have to adopt a different attitude. And that comes by Vivek. You need not to worry about it. We'll continue to talk about the Viveka. Leave this. Close your eyes. Let us start our practice. Let us start our practice. Eyes are closed. Place, position, and place, position, and posture. Place, position, and posture. Being comfortable. So you already have done, you are all are seekers, so I need not to explain what it means by being comfortable. Not at all. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sorry. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. Did you did Viveka? So when you do the Viveka, that is what the contemplation and reflection. Happiness is my essential nature. So it is the essential nature of every being. But I hate that guy. From where the hatred has come? It has come from the ignorance. You see how the masters were excellent teachers and the professors. The way they bridged and created these verses, which gives you have a different expression and explanation. I'm relating this now to the Viveka. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. This is the mantra. Mantra is what is mantra? Mantra is also a thought. Now, can I use this thought and relate it to the Viveka? May there be peace for all. No, but I hate this guy. Take this very normal feeling of attachment and aversion. I hate my mom. I hate my dad. I hate my son. So and so on. May there be peace for all. These two thoughts cannot coexist together. And ultimately, mind loosens its feeling of hatred. What I have to do by hating someone? It is not required. And there you are ready to bring about a change first from inside, I told you. I told you perception, feeling, and thought process. It is such a beautiful, I always love this uh, understanding. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. You know the first two lines? You can put into the category of right and good, and uh, what is right and good, and what is part in the whole, etc. But here, when you say Sarvesham Puranam Bhartu, may there be wholeness. So wholeness and the parts. I'm searching that entity in me which is whole cannot be divided into the parts. And then I want to see what happens. Is the real self the whole? So the message is clear. May there be completeness in all. Means that may there we discover that wholeness in us, that real self in us. Sarvesham Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be auspiciousness for all. Think. I'm not saying just get rid of all the thoughts. This, these, until now, you need to think and find out how you can enter into a different level of perception. But normally, a good seeker or a higher seeker continues the pranayam and the pratyahara. Five groups of practices. We have started in the very beginning. And now we are understanding with that knowledge comes the great clarity. So you're looking inside the forehead in the space, you're dropping Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Pure consciousness, Shanti is the peace. Oh, peace is my essential nature. You keep on doing it, but you keep the body in the state of steadiness and stillness. Why? To arrest my perception from the senses. Those impressions are present in the mind. And then we ask the mind to change the direction. You start breathing quick and short breath through the rib cage. Start breathing quick and short breath. But continue with the Om Shanti, continue with the stillness in the body. Your breathing continues, Om Shanti continues deep inside the space in the forehead. The stillness in the body continues, except the rib cage. The rib cage moves. Do you see that body, mind, and the intellect? Continue breathing, please. You do not allow the mind to take over you. That means ignorance. You continue doing the breathing unabated. Means, do you remember the endurance, joy of doing? And the last one is the joy of being. It doesn't affect you whether you're doing it or not. It is happening at the physical, mental, and the level of the intellect. That is the joy of being. And stop it, pay attention to the breath. We instantly move to the passive state. We are doing nothing. We are just aware of the flow of the breath through both the nostrils in the state of stillness in the body with a variety of perception we may have. In terms of the feeling, look at it how our great masters have observed, perceived, and found out the wisdom. They have done pranayama and pratyahara, just awareness of the flow of the breath. And I told you, if one flow is less, you pay attention. But now we have an understanding, even if you pay attention to the flow of the breath, which is less from one nostril, you are still aware of the flow of breath from both the nostrils. And in that awareness of the flow of the breath, what is most important, you are not changing the rate and the rhythm of the breath. You do not control the breath. You let the mind be totally free. I will understand that. Just check it. It is easy to remain with the flow of the breath, or you have a lot of thoughts and feelings in the background. I have a lot of thoughts and feeling in the background. That means I need a lot of practices, especially of the pranayama and pratyahara. I am totally free. Yes, that's a sign of the progress. Role of viveka is there. Now you start breathing deep, silent, slow. Remember, as you inhale first into the belly, then into the rib cage, moving the mind from the top center of the head down to the spine, reaching to the tailbone, and you are mentally singing as if your mind is totally in a mood to sing Om Shanti. Inhalation, mind drops at the finishes Shanti at the end of the tailbone. As you exhale, the mind starts from there. It goes up, singing Om Shanti, reaching to the top center of the head. Deep silence, slow breathing. Mind moves with the breath into the spine, singing Om Shanti. You see, and in the state of the stillness of the body. So, in the entire, we have set the stage for home, for the mind and the intellect to move into the wisdom. The world dissolves in perception, wisdom awakens. And now leave this step also, move the mind deep inside the cave of your heart. Visualize the triangle of any color, equilateral, pointing upward, and then start dropping Om Shanti, moving the mind on each side of a triangle, clockwise and anti-clockwise. Find the sync. The moment you find the sync, mentally pushing the mind into the deep cave of your heart, mind seemingly stops, you drop Shanti, and after that you do nothing. Can I reach to that state of doing nothing, a kind of self absorption? Wonderful. And stay there. You are doing nothing. Self absorption does not mean that you are sleeping, you are ignorant. There is always a perception of whatever is happening, and you are just there, casual, carefree. You need not to worry, even if the mind is distracted because of our impressions. So we go back to the triangle, we return back to a state of absorption. And just be very casual. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences. Bring the hands down, we'll share our experiences. How are you, Brandy?
Thank you. I'm good. I equate Viveka with being present, and especially during my meditation, I saw how the mind wanted to just keep trying to pull me away from it. So it was a little bit of wrestling today, but with awareness of my real desire just to stay present and not mess with all the emotional and mental stuff that the mind tries to do.
Yes. And when we reach to a higher state of viveka or discernment, we remain present all the time. Then this mind doesn't complain that I have a problem. Not only in meditation, but all the time. How are you, David and Jerry?
Yeah, thank you. The simplicity of the power of Viveka is amazing. And so I look forward to re-listening to this over and exploring it more. The meditation, kind of like Brandy was saying, there's this cleansingness, there's this clarity, there was some distractions, but the Viveka just, is able to get back into just breathing and focusing, and it seemed like a 2-minute meditation to me. So it was very, very deep, very good. Thank you.
Yes, yes, you're right. When we do some active steps in meditation, that it helps the mind to withdraw itself from unnecessary, unwanted thought process. So we are going to add some more. That's a beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Sure, I'm good, thank you. I like the application of the viveka to the mantra. It keeps it really nice and simple.
Yeah, yeah.
And the meditation was deep.
Meditation was deep. You see that we should understand. You touched upon that. Look at these great professors. I would say great professors, all these gurus and teachers who created these mantras, who discovered. You can just you can switch on your thought and start thinking about it, contemplating, and it solves a lot of miseries and the problems and reactions. That is why these mantras are so important. And especially when you apply that mantra with the viveka, you get rid of your hatred. But we have to try it again and again and again. Very good. How are you, Dennis?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for the lesson. My understanding of Viveka is that it is kind of an upgrade to our intellect that enables us to monitor every thought, feeling, emotion, speech, action, to discern whether it is right, whether it is wrong, and what decision must be taken, whether to enable that thought, proceed with that thought, or drop it. So this is like a feature, new feature of the intellect that enables us to do these things. As far as my meditation was deep, quiet, comfortable. The breathing was one nostril was dominating in the beginning, but then it normalized. And at the end, some thoughts were there, but there was also an awareness that I am different and separate from them.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. One thought that you told us, that it enables the intellect to examine and to live into that viveka with reference to the world outside. But then what happens to the inside? Inside, you are always calm. It doesn't affect you. So you are enabling the viveka in the intellect to see mind. You are attached and detached. No, I'm away from both. So what happens to the state of awareness inside? That is the experiential meaning of living in the present moment, what Brandy was saying. So it's always good to understand each and every step so that we have a clarity. Very good, Dennis. Thank you. And how are you, Christina?
I'm well, thank you. The breathing today felt effortless and like I was just being carried. It wasn't even myself breathing. And I really liked the idea of installing new software. It's almost like we've been living a life of in delusion and being able to trade out those core ways in
Yeah,
which we think.
yeah, yeah. You uninstall the present software of impulsive, of reactive nature, of ignorance, and you reinstall. That is where the viveka comes. And that is where what the Dennis is saying, you enable the intellect. Enablement of the intellect is also the same thing. That's a good way to say it. How are you, Sangeeta?
सर जब विवेक के साथ मन पे कर रहे हैं तो बहुत एक्सपेंसिव फील होता है बॉडी मतलब मेंटली बहुत खुल जाता है कि
Yeah,
सबके
yeah,
लिए प्रेम है
yeah.
बहुत अच्छी फीलिंग है
Yeah, what she's saying that when you put the viveka into the mind, you are able to drop the jealousy and hatred, and the mind opens up. There is an expansiveness of the mind. There is a love. There is a care for everyone. There's a natural care for everyone. What that is what she is saying. That's another wonderful point. So now see, understand very clearly. I have love for everyone. People notice this too much about the world outside. Oh, look at this guy, he loves everyone. Forget about that love for everyone. So I have that thought plus the feeling which is helping my mind to evolve. I do not remain selfish. That is more important. Now, if your focus is on that, I love everyone, but I accept this guy, accept this girl, then there is a problem. It means your mind is outside, mind is looking at the multiple beings and from where you want to extract that appreciation. No. So there also, that is what is the viveka between the right and the wrong. Even I express that I love you, I care you, but I look inside. I'm aware of inside. I'm aware of that state of the consciousness which is expressing that I care you and I love you. There the viveka comes. And the viveka is lost. No, I care you. I have been caring you for the last 20 years. Nothing happened. Now I'm frustrated. That is not love and care. That is not love and care. You are already outside. Your mind is already outside. So we will pick up these things. That is all. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.